Okay, picture this. A rifle so simple, you could literally bury it in mud, dig it up, and it would still fire without a hitch. That's the AK-47. And, it's so much more than just a gun. It's become this global icon that armed revolutions and completely fundamentally changed the way modern wars were fought.
That quote is from the movie Lord of War, and it just nails the legendary status of the Kalashnikov. It really makes you wonder, right? How did one rifle become the most famous, the most widespread firearm in all of history? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into. So to get this story, we've got to go back, way back, to the rubble of World War II. The Soviet Union had just seen what Germany's Sturmgewehr 44, really the world's first true assault rifle, could do on the battlefield. And they knew they needed something new for this new kind of warfare. The order was simple. Build us a rifle that's easy to use, tough as nails, and perfect for an army made of everyday citizens, of conscripts. And this is where Mikhail Kalashnikov comes in. Now, he wasn't some high-level engineer in a lab. He was a Soviet tank mechanic, a self-taught inventor who had been on the front lines. He took everything he'd learned from the battlefield, borrowed the best ideas from other guns he'd seen, and cooked up his masterpiece. By 47, the Automat Kalashnikova was a reality. And just 2 years later, boom, it becomes the standard rifle for the entire Soviet military.
Okay, to really get the AK-47, you have to understand the thinking behind it. This was never about building a super precise rifle for a highly trained sniper. Nope. The goal was to create a tool, a simple tool for the average soldier that would be absolutely 100% dependable no matter what.
So what's the secret sauce here? Well, it's just how simple it is. The magic of the AK is that its internal parts have a lot of wiggle room. They're not tightly packed together. What that means is dirt, sand, mud, it just doesn't jam up the works as easily. It's this incredibly tough, robust system, and that's exactly how it got its legendary reputation for working in the absolute worst places on Earth. Now, with a design this good, this effective, you just know it's not going to stay in one place for long. It was only a matter of time. And sure enough, during the Cold War, the AK-47 became a major tool of Soviet foreign policy. They started handing it out to allies, to revolutionary groups all over the world. And the sheer scale of this, it's just mind-boggling. We're talking over 75 million Kalashnikov-type rifles made. That makes it, by a long shot, the most produced firearm in the history of the world. But here's the really interesting part. It's how all those rifles got made.
Yeah, take a look at this. This really shows you how fast the Soviets lost control of their own creation. If you add up the unlicensed copies and the ones where the licensing is murky, let's say, that's nearly half of all the Kalashnikovs ever made. They were built without any official Soviet say-so. The cat was out of the bag, Once that design was public, there was just no putting it back.
So, with the AK-47 spreading everywhere, it was bound to lead to a showdown. And that's exactly what happened. It set the stage for probably the most famous rifle rivalry in history. The jungles of Vietnam became the ultimate test track, where the rugged, super simple AK-47 went head-to-head with America's shiny, new, high-tech M16.
And man, these two rifles could not be more different. It's like night and day. On one hand, you've got the AK-47, built for a massive army of regular guys. Simple, tough, always works. Then you have the M16, designed for a professional, highly trained military. It's lightweight, super accurate, and way more complex. This was literally a clash of philosophies, Soviet versus American, playing out rifle to rifle, right there in the jungle. But there was a problem, a huge one. In the early days of the war, the M16 had a fatal flaw. And we're not talking about some minor little glitch here. This had devastating real-world consequences. U.S. Marines were reporting that their brand new rifles were jamming up right in the middle of a firefight. I mean, can you imagine a catastrophic failure at the absolute worst possible moment? Now, to be fair, the U.S. military did eventually figure it out. The culprit was a last-minute switch in the type of gunpowder they were using in the ammo. They fixed the problem, but the damage to the M16's reputation, that was already done. It got branded as unreliable, and that's a label it really struggled to shake for a long, long time. So the verdict from the jungle was pretty clear, and it taught everyone a huge lesson. When you're in the thick of it, in close quarters combat, raw, brute force reliability can be way more important than fancy technology. American soldiers started to have this grudging respect for the enemy's rifle because it just always worked. It got to the point where some GIs would actually drop their own M16s and pick up a captured AK-47 if they could.
But the AK's story doesn't just end there on the battlefield. Not even close. Its reputation for being indestructible, combined with the fact that it was just everywhere, transformed it from a simple weapon into something much, much bigger. A powerful symbol for culture and for politics. All over the globe, for revolutionary groups and insurgencies, the AK-47 became the symbol of fighting back against the powers that be. I mean, think about it. Its silhouette is so iconic, it's actually on the national flag of Mozambique. That tells you everything you need to know about what that rifle meant for their fight for independence.
And of course, you can't escape it in pop culture. It's totally saturated everything. From classic movies like Apocalypse Now to huge video game franchises like Call of Duty, the shape of the AK-47 is instantly recognizable to millions of people, most of whom have never even seen a real one up close.
But the design itself didn't just freeze in time. It kept evolving. The AKM came along, which was way cheaper and faster to mass produce. And then, and this is a really fascinating twist, the Soviets came out with the AK-74. And guess what? It used a smaller, faster bullet, a concept that was actually really similar to the M16s. It's like they were finally admitting there were some benefits to the philosophy they had been fighting against.
At the end of the day, I think the military historian C.J. Chivers just sums it up perfectly. The incredible influence of the AK-47 really just boils down to three simple things. You could get one, it always worked, and because of those two facts, it ended up in every single corner of the globe.
You see, the AK-47 was really the product of a very specific time in history. The start of the Cold War, this massive clash of superpowers. And that kind of leaves us with one final big question to think about. In today's world, with all our high-tech, digital warfare, could one single, simple design ever dominate the world like that again?